Hello everyone, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me for a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners, and I'm here every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. All right, you guys, last week we finished the letter I embroidery, the little inchworm for our ABC Stitch Along, and this week we are going to work on the J jellyfish. So we will get that all ironed on today and we'll start stitching. So that is the plan. I think it's going to go pretty quick this week, so we'll actually hopefully be able to quilt the jellyfish and the inchworm, and I think we actually still have the giraffe to do yet. Hopefully we can quilt all of those and maybe even start sewing these together. We'll get to that hopefully this month here. So all right, let's get going, everyone. Okay, here we go. All right, so thank you guys again for joining me. Here is that inchworm. I think he turned out so sweet. We ended up doing that whipped backstitch around his body, which I think just turned out, it's just a fun little extra touch. It's that stitch makes it look almost like you have baker's twine sitting on top of the surface there. So just kind of fun. And then some big satin stitches for the letter I. So I do love how that guy turned out. And this week we have the jellyfish, so let's just get going on that right away. I'm going to open up our jellyfish pattern here. So this again is from our ABC pattern collection. I think I did this collection about maybe even 11 years ago at this point, and we've never stitched it together here, which seems crazy. So we are doing that now. We are going through the whole alphabet, and we are making a quilt. We'll be selling the quilt and donating it to the Minneapolis Crisis Nursery once we're done. So that'll be like next spring, early summer-ish. I'm going to have this jellyfish, the front cover, which has the stitches and the colors. I'm going to leave this nearby, but the only other one I need is the Iron Me pattern. There's also a traceable pattern, but I don't need that for tonight because we are going to be using the iron-on pattern. So first up, I'm going to cut off that text that comes on the Iron Me pattern because that will transfer, and we don't want that. So, all right. First thing I want to do is transfer my design to the fabric. So I got my pressing mat here. I am going to just to protect the pressing mat. So if you're doing this on like an ironing board, you'll definitely want to do this. You'll want to put a paper towel down to protect your pressing mat or your ironing board. Otherwise, the image might transfer through the fabric onto your ironing board just because it's going through the little holes in the fabric, and we don't want that. So we're going to be placing this with the right side down, right in the middle, and we're just going to eyeball it as best we can to place it just right. I do have extra fabric all the way around. But first things first, we are going to preheat our fabric. So I have an iron going here. It is on like the cotton setting because I'm using cotton fabric. And I'm going to just kind of preheat my fabric just by ironing it, So I'm pressing it and preheating it at the same time. All right. And now while it's still warm, I'm going to place this. And I don't have to tape it down or anything. I'm just kind of setting it pretty much in the middle. And then I'm going to just place my iron on top. I'm not going to wiggle it too much. And I'm going to count to like 5 or so and just kind of peek on the edges. Ooh, not coming through quite yet. Let's see now. Ooh, a little bit rough on the edges, but the rest looks okay. And I can see it on the edge enough. So I think we're fine with there. You should be able to use up these patterns like about 5 times or so. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's a little light on the edge. I kind of checked it a little early, but I can see it. I'm just going to go over it just quickly with a little pencil. Zhuzh it in. There, good enough, plenty. Okay, so there we go. Our design is all set. What am I making? Squishy is asking, we are going to be making a quilt, an alphabet quilt. So I can show you guys where we're at so far. So we did the letter I last week. And here's all the letters we have done so far. And we're actually quilting these as we go. So I have the backing fabric and, the batting or wadding and the front fabric. And then we've already quilted through a bunch. So we're basically making a pile of mini quilts. And then we'll be assembling them. We'll be assembling them with like a little piece of fabric in the middle of all of them. So it's going to end up being a quilt when we're done, an alphabet quilt. So we got the H. The letter G. He's ready to quilt, but I still have the basting pins. We haven't actually sewn it together yet, so this one we got to do. I'm hoping to do the quilting this week for the ones that we don't have done yet. Here's our little fox. He turned out so sweet with those 4-leaf clover quilting. Little elephant with his floofy tail. And we have the dog. So we're going in alphabetical order. And we use some really metallic thread for his collar, and I think that just is so shiny. Letter C, B, and A, and then I just have my little test piece that I'm practicing on. And then back to I we did last week, and J we are starting this week. So we'll sew all these together in a quilt is the plan. Do you show making the quilting on a different platform? Nope. Lil Brittany is asking, do I show the making of the quilt on a different platform? I don't. So I am live every night, Monday through Friday, for an hour. And we are like long-term making this project. So I will be on every night this week from 8:30 p.m. Central to 9:30 p.m. Central. And I think we'll actually go pretty quick stitching this up. And so I will do some quilting this week yet. So come Friday for sure, but potentially even Thursday. I'm hoping to quilt the letter J, the letter I, and then we have the letter G all assembled. So we'll assemble the I and J like how we did this letter G with our back fabric, our batting, and the front, and then we'll actually quilt it. So that'll happen same as how we're doing it tonight. It's just going to be later in the week. So we'll be working on this project for the whole year probably. So I work on this project the first full week of the month, although I think I did it a little early this week. So the first week of the month and the second week of the month. So I'm calling this week 2, and we're working on the jellyfish. And then the third week we work on our embroidery of the month, which this month is our little lilacs. And then the last week is a kind of free week, and we might actually come back to this. I do have letter H right here, Robin. We did the hedgehog for letter H. So he's done. We did him last month. All right, we're ready. We got our iron-on transfer in the hoop, our fabric in the hoop. So let's pick some colors. I think I want to stitch his little like tentacle things. God, what are those called on a jellyfish? I don't know. His little stingray guys. So in the original, we did like this bright color blue. I do kind of still like that. So we could do like a bright blue. That's right here, and we still have a bunch of it. And I think I even have some scraps in my little scrap cloud of it. Yeah. Here's some. What else is in here for that blue? Here's a little piece. Yeah, so we can use up these pieces. Let's do that. We'll do the blue first. And then, we can always decide what other colors we want later, but I don't know, for some reason I'm feeling, let's start with the blue. I'm probably going to do all this backstitch first, and then we'll come back and do all of these little French knots, and that'll probably be tomorrow, I'm guessing. So that is the plan. Oh, Caitlin says, so apparently I fell asleep early Friday because I don't remember the whip stitch or the satin stitching. Yep, we actually managed to do both of those. I wasn't really expecting to get either of those done, really, and we managed to finish the whole thing. I was not expecting that at all. I mean, we did stay like a couple, like 10 minutes late just so I could finish that whipped back stitch, but it got done, and I think it turned out so sweet. All right, let's start stitching. So I like weaving in my ends. I know I've said this here before, but I like weaving in my ends into the backs of stitches that already exist instead of tying a knot. But in this case, there are no stitches yet to weave into the backs of, so I'm going to reserve a piece of floss for later using a method called an away knot. So I'm starting with a little knot on the end. And let's start with this one here, because why not? So I'm going to go about 4 inches away, it's more like 3 inches, away from where I'm going to start. And I'm going to just bring from the front to the back up to the knot. And this will make sense in a moment here. I'm going to start the back stitch. So here's where I'm going to start, and I'm going this direction. For a back stitch, you actually start like a stitch length forward, like away from your starting point. So I'm gonna do that. And you can see here, I have this like long line of thread there from my away knot. I'm just reserving that thread for later, so I can weave it in later, which will make sense as we get going here. But I'm doing that instead of tying a knot. So all right, let's go backwards along my line to the starting point. So we're always kind of like, with the back stitch, we're going like backwards up our line. So coming down, there's our first stitch. And now let's come up a stitch length further down the line. I'm doing, about an 1/8 inch or so size stitches. And then backwards up the line to the starting point of our last stitch, and we're going to go just in that exact same hole. And there we go. 2 little back stitches, and that's all there is to a back stitch. I'm going to keep going down the line and then going backwards up the line to where the last stitch met. And we're going to fill in all these lines. All these are going to be dark blue. Actually, they could be all different colors. That'd be kind of pretty. Yeah, maybe we'll just stick to the blue. And then maybe the French knots, we could play around with colors for that. We've been veering from the original patterns on these for sure. We've been kind of playing around with doing different colors and different stitches. So I'm sure we'll do a little bit of that on this design too. But yeah, I think tomorrow we'll probably get to the French knots. Oh, I'm missing a bunch of your comments. Hold on. Let me scroll down. There we go. Hello, everyone. How do I found to order from you? Oh, I want thread. Oh, Diana, we are at penguinandfish.com. I'm sure there should be a link somewhere where you're at to that. Otherwise, it's just penguinandfish.com. And we have a search bar. The fastest way, if you know what you're looking for, on the search bar at the top, there's a big search bar. Just type in like floss, and you'll get to our embroidery floss quickly. But yeah, oh, and speaking of, you guys, we're doing our little special again, just for you guys who are watching live right now, because you guys are awesome. So order $20 or more in the shop, and I will throw in a free mystery gift if you order during our live here, which is about an hour long, and we just started. So I guess we're actually 15 minutes in already. Sheesh. But yeah, so $20 or more in the shop at penguinandfish.com during the live, and I will throw in a free mystery gift. There's no code necessary. I'll just look who orders during this time period, and I'll toss in a mystery gift. So if you're getting floss anyway, then I'll make sure to let you know that you could get a free mystery gift too. Almost done with this first line. So I'm doing the stabbing method of embroidery right now. We talked a little bit about this last week, but I'm coming all the way up, pulling the thread all the way up, and then stabbing, and then pulling the thread all the way down. there is another method called the sewing method, and it works great for backstitch, and it works great for, it works better for certain stitches than others, but I do like using it for backstitch. It's just not what I learned how to do originally, so it's not ever like my first instinct to go to. But I'll show you how to do the sewing method once I get done. I'll get to this line, and then we'll do the backstitch using the sewing method. So this is the stabbing method, coming all the way up, pulling the thread, going all the way down, pulling your thread all the way through. You'll see how that's different with the sewing method in a sec. Oh, Paula said I got the Lilac kit and wonderful mystery gift in today's mail. Yay! That's awesome, Paula. Ugh, fun. Yep, so we'll be stitching that next week. So a whole pile of embroidery in. Oh, Lynn is asking, just tuned in, how did you transfer the design? This is our embroidery pattern. So we do have some patterns, not all kits, and our patterns have an iron-on transfer in them. So this is like an iron-on transfer. We heated up our fabric and then placed it face side down and pressed on top for about 5 seconds. Did a little check to see if it came through, and that's how we did it. And you can use them a few times. If you're using like one of our digital patterns, our PDF pattern, that comes with a traceable pattern like this, and then you could just what I typically do is, if I'm not using like a light table, I will tape this to a bright window, and then I will tape my fabric on top of that, and then I'll just trace it. Sometimes I just use just a mechanical pencil. This is just like a normal big mechanical pencil, or you can use a water-soluble marker, but those are kind of my two ways. Like if I have an iron-on transfer like this, I'll use it because it's just fast and easy. But if not, tracing works great. All right, first line done. I'm just going to kind of pick another line. I don't know, let's just pick this one right here, I guess. Or should we go underneath here? Let's do this one. Oh, so it's another back stitch, so I'm starting a stitch length away from my starting point. And then we'll go back towards this stitch. But I'm going to show you how to do the sewing method. And for the sewing method, I can only really go personally like right to left. I don't do well left to right, so I actually have to rotate this whole thing. And I'm going to go into the starting point of my line, and for the sewing method, I'm going to come up in the same motion. So I'm coming up along the line for my next stitch, all in the same motion. So you know, I didn't pull my thread all the way down and then come all the way up. I'm just like through both at the same time, if that makes sense. And then you can pull right through. So there's our first back stitch, and we came up for our second back stitch all at the same time. So now I can go straight down again where that first one left off, and then come up. This does work if your fabric's a little looser in the hoop, the sewing method, but in and out again at the same time. So that is the sewing method versus the stabbing method again, where I'm just going in, bringing my thread all the way down, and then all the way back up. Still kind of my go-to. With the stabbing method, I feel like I can leave my piece kind of upright as I stitch. And like I said, with the sewing method, I feel like I can only do it well right to left. Sometimes like bottom to top, that works sometimes. But yeah. All right. Hold on a sec here. Okay. Let's do some more backstitch. Okay, and I'm almost out of thread already. So I did start with thread that I had in my spare pile. So I didn't split the thread from my original floss. And I'm using the words thread and floss interchangeably. I don't know if that's wrong. I'm used to saying both words, so they get mixed up. But yeah, so I'm using scrap floss right now, and it already had, I'm using three strands of floss for this. You can change the number of strands, and that'll change like the thickness of the line. But today I'm using 3, and I happen to have a bit in my scrap pile. Oh, you guys, we had such a lovely weekend. It was beautiful outside, and we had family in town. My parents and my brother and his girlfriend were in town, and we went to like an art fair, and I got my cute little new bracelet here. It was all just fun, and I had such a great time. It was just so nice seeing everybody. But man, I was out in the sun a whole lot more than usual. And now I'm just exhausted. All right, so I'm going to weave in my ends here. Hi, Renee. I am seeing that I am trying to block them as I go, so sorry about all that. But all right, I'm going to weave in the ends here. So this is what I'm doing instead of tying a knot. I'm going to weave in my ends back and forth through the backs of stitches, and I do this 3 times. Oh, Sea to Snow is on. So that's my brother and his girlfriend's company. They're the ones who make the awesome candles. So check them out. They're saying hi on TikTok right now. All right, there we go. Let's find my scissors. There we go. And I'm going to just snip this little end off. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to this away knot that we had when we started. I'm going to snip that away. Ooh, I can't even grab it. There we go. And now I have that little piece of thread is free now. So this is that piece of thread that we kind of put on reserve earlier, and now I actually have stitches on here. So now I can weave this piece into the backs of my stitches too, and that way I didn't have to start with a knot at all, an away knot, or a knot on the back of my embroidery. And there's nothing really wrong with a knot. I just like this method of weaving in the ends instead of having a knot on the back, because I hate when like the little ends of the knot, like these little bits, I hate when those come through to the front, and I hate when those come through to the front. And when I have a knot on the back, I always, at some point during the embroidery, I accidentally catch my thread on it, so I have like this loop caught on a knot on the back. Ooh, Kathy's almost done with her first. Ooh, congrats, that's so exciting. Yay. That's the best feeling, finishing up a project. All right, snip. All right, so this went pretty quick because I am using, like I said, that leftover thread. Ooh, I have another piece in here. I didn't see this one. So I'm kind of going through my leftover floss before going to like my stuff on the bobbin here. So this looks like it's maybe not 3 strands though. Yeah, this is just 2 strands. This is just 2 strands. So all right, we won't play around with that. We'll use that for later maybe. But I do have this little piece yet that is 3 strands. It's very little, so we'll use that up quick. We'll do that. All right. And there we are. All right, let's find my needle again. And we'll get cracking. Is this 3 strands? Looked like 4 strands for a sec there. Nope, it's 3. Okay, good. Oh, you finished the cat bag last night. Awesome, Robin. Do I usually use an away knot on whatever you're working on? I do Suncatcher if I don't have any stitches on yet. So now this time, for example, I'm not going to use the away knot because I already have stitches available to me to weave into. So like I'm going to start right here and finish up this line. So I can actually just weave into the stitches that already exist. I really only use the away knot if there's no other stitches available to me to weave into, or if I'm starting a different area that's far away from stitches, then I'll start like a little away knot. And sometimes, and I did this last week, sometimes I'll even skip the knot, but I'll still let a little piece hang out, and I'll basically treat it the same way. Like I'm reserving that floss for later to weave in later. But yeah, I do. I rarely use knots on the back anymore, and I think it's more just because I got it into the habit of doing that. What is the best kit for a very beginner to start? Twin Mommy is asking. So all of our kits are great for beginners. All of these letters, all of these alphabets are great. Our embroidery of the month actually is this one here. This one is going to be relatively easy too, but you'll actually learn a lot of different stitches on this one. We have like a stem stitch, we have the French knot, some lazy daisy stitches, and a backstitch. So we have a whole pile of different stitches in here. One thing you might want to try is we do actually have a free pattern. It does come in kit form as well if you want all the supplies and pre-printed fabric and everything. And that's our raccoon stitch sampler, and there's a link to the free version of that in our bio. That comes with 14 different stitches, and we'll email you every day with a new stitch with a video and how to go about doing that stitch. And so that's a great beginner one because it'll help you through a lot of the basic stitches that you'll see in almost any embroidery pattern. So, but all of ours are definitely fun for everyone, but definitely intended to be friendly for beginners for sure. Ooh, Catherine says it was a good P&F Penguin Fish Day here as I got the Lilac kit and a special box with the mystery gift as well. Thanks. Oh, that's awesome, Catherine. It's so exciting when, first of all, when I know for sure that your guys' orders got to you. That's always, you never know. I mean, it's not like they seem like they always get to where they need to be, but you're sending something out in the world, and that's scary. So that's our hedgehog, or not our hedgehog kit, our lilac kit. So we'll be stitching that next week. So this one's fun. It does have a bunch of stitches, and these are all like basically the same stitch, just some different colors, and then we have the little knots in. So just by putting a bunch of them together, really makes it look like a lilac, and it still smells like lilacs outside by us, you guys, and it's so nice. I actually think it's the little like kind of different lilac bush that our neighbors have, but it's wafting through our lilacs that are a little past, and it's making me pretend like it's our lilacs. Yeah. So yeah, and all our kits have the hoop, the fabric, the needle, the floss, instructions. A lot of them we've done live, so they're able to be found on our YouTube. And I'm here every night, Monday through Friday, and I'm way more than happy to answer any questions. And on that note, we do still have our special for tonight, which is order $20 or more from the shop, and I will throw in a special mystery gift without, you don't need a code or anything. So hold on. So that special is still going on. So again, that's $20 in the shop, and I'll send you a free mystery gift, and there's no code necessary. I'll just plop one in your order. All right. So, getting my third line done here. I'm doing these in no like particular order. I'm just kind of whichever one's closest. Just using up what I got left of this because I'm out of my scrappy scraps. Okay, almost there. So I'll weave in the ends again when I'm done with this one. So here again is the sewing method too. I'm kind of going in a good direction for that. So sewing method is when you go in and out in the same motion. It's a little tricky because you're kind of coming up sideways instead of straight up or straight down. So this one is not as second nature to me. And it is a bit easier to have your fabric a little more loose in your hoop to do this. So in and out in the same motion. Oh, thanks, Suncatcher. Suncatcher says my nails look nice. It's getting we're past the 2 weeks. We're pushing the week 3 at this point, and I think if they make it to this weekend, that's gonna be this weekend's job again. Is gonna be redoing the nails. So I've at this point gone through my 4 colors that I initially got of this dip nail. So I'll have to think about what color to do next, or maybe I'll try and like mix them up, like do where you sprinkle a little on and you can get a little ombre look to it. I might have to Google how to do that. I feel like I've seen it a few times, but I don't think I quite have a handle on it. So we may play around with that a little bit more. All right, this is definitely my last stitch. I did like 1 stitch too many. I can barely get this back in. So let's flip to the back and weave in the stitches again, into the backs of the stitches. So this is again to avoid knots. And I think this is actually more secure than a knot, because just a plain knot, if you agitate it just right, it might come out. Sharon, yeah, it's bad tonight. I've been trying to delete them as they come in. Definitely report them. Feel like just every few months we get spammed with stuff, so it is definitely happening. I'm trying to delete them as we go here. All right, let's snip this end. We're getting spammed on YouTube right now. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing. Am I still doing the nails at home? I am. See, they're getting a little grown out here, but I do actually like this color. So this was my last color, and it just seems like really kind of sweet and pretty, but not like overpoweringly saccharine, I guess. Like not super sugary sweet. So it's almost, I think it might be my favorite one actually, but I'll put another color on next week and I'll be like, oh, I love this one too. All right, we need fresh floss here, and we got lots of, we got a ways to go on our blue yet, so I'm gonna just take my normal big piece. Oh, thanks, Sharon, I appreciate it. So I'm getting about 24 inches here, and clip that back on. Shoop. Okay. Let's get our 3 strands out of here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Embroidery floss typically comes with 6 strands in it, and if I bop the top of this, they'll all separate, and you can see those six strands. And we actually just need 3 of those strands, and that's just to. It's kind of to. I'll just bring this out again. It's to determine how wide I want my stitches. So like if we just look at this part, 1 through 6 is 1 strand of embroidery floss, all the way up to like using all 6 strands. And this is actually in a back stitch too, like what we're doing. So I am using 3. So it's a nice medium line Sometimes I do 1 when you're getting super delicate, like that's what this thickness guide is written as, and then 6 right here is the fattest. So here the floss is with 6 strands compared to 1 strand with the thickness guide. So you can really get different looks by different numbers of threads. My go-to for this project is basically this number 3 realm. So that's why we're doing 3 strands, but we're starting from 6. So I got to pull out 3 strands. Some people this is how I used to do it too. Some people like find 3 strands and then pull it apart on either side like this. But I find that can like twist up and stuff. So I've been lately, and someone showed me how to do this here, and at first I was like, that kind of takes a while, but it really goes super fast. So I'm kind of bopping the top again and isolating 1 thread. And I'm holding the thread just in between my fingers, and I'm pulling this. I'm going slow for this first one, but I'm just pulling it. It's going to gather behind. It's going to look crazy. And then once the strand comes out, the whole thing just relaxes, and I just run my finger through it quick. But yeah, so I'm going to just do another piece. You can go really fast. Just zoop. That's all there is. But do it 1 at a time. This does not work if you do more than 1 strand. It'll get crazy. So 1 strand at a time. But there we go. I have my 3 threads, and I'm just going to quickly just kind of match up the ends as best I can and just run my hand through it, and our thread's ready to go again. So we got our 3 strands, and then I have, the 3 strands from the other half, and I'm just going to set that aside for later. Okay, grab our needle. So to thread the needle, I don't always, but I always recommend, let's say it that way, I recommend just trimming the end so your edges are all nice together there. I just try and line them up as I'm putting the pieces back together, but sometimes that just doesn't work. So, all right, and then I do the pinch method, which is a little more difficult with my long nails now, longer than normal nails. They're not actually long nails, but for me they're long. But so I'm starting like with my thread up a little. I'm just gonna pull it down till, and not drop it. I'm going to pull it down till it's sort of like nestled in my fingers, and I can make this pinch motion. And so I'm going to slowly unpinch, and the moment I can see that little bit of thread popping through, that's when I'm going to hold my needle, get the eye of the needle, and I'm going to just kind of place it over that spot. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it and push down. There we go. Oop, gosh, I'm not doing this well. Let's pinch it again. Pinching it makes it nice and flat. So the moment you see it, just push down, and the thread should pop through. That one's a little stuck, but I think we got it. And then we can just grab the other end. Oh, you usually pull what you need all at once. That's Suncatcher. That's totally what I used to do. Now I get about 24 inches. Sometimes I cheat and do like maybe around 30 inches. Of thread, and then pull the 3 strands. I used to like just have like loads and loads, but it's actually it's nicer, it's better on your shoulder to not have your thread quite as long. Then you're not, where am I going? Right here. You're not like pulling, like you don't have to keep pulling your arm way back. So if you're doing a lot of embroidery, it's easier on your shoulder to have your thread a bit shorter. And then the other thing is by having your like a really, really long piece of thread, it may knot more just because it's twisting up on itself, but also it's going through the fabric a ton more times than if you're just using a short piece. So the part that's close to your needle, that's going through it a zillion times, that's like friction. So you're being abrasive basically on the floss over a period of time because it's going through the fabric over and over and over again. So it can actually get weaker, and that it makes it knot up a little bit more and stuff too. So those are some reasons on why I do the thread a little bit shorter. It is annoying to start and stop it all the time, but it's not as annoying as having a zillion knots. So that's what I think. Although when I'm getting real, like, I don't care, meh, then I do get myself a long piece and Just hope it doesn't get all cranky on me. But I like this like 24 inches or so. Alright, let's jump to the next line. Getting through all these lines. I think this might be the jam for tonight, just getting all these lines done. Ooh, I did a little, didn't quite make it all the way over there, but that's fine. Hey Kathy, thanks for joining. Alright, so I still think, well, let's see, how are we doing on time? 9:11, so, my goal is let's get these blue lines done tonight. Then, I think I would still like to get the body and the face lines done before starting the French knots. So when possible, on pieces, if there's a lot of French knots, I try and do them last because it's the same reason I don't like knots on the back of my embroidery. I don't like my thread like accidentally like catching on one of those knots and then like messing up the knot or something. So I try and do the French knots last on a piece like this. But if I don't, then whatever. I just have to avoid all those knots, which can be annoying. But anyway, so I think for that reason we'll do the rest of his body first. But when we do get to the French knots, which may be tomorrow or Wednesday for sure, for absolutely sure, I want to go over the 3 things you may be doing wrong with your French knots. So if you're having any trouble with your French knots, I bet you it's because of one of these 3 things, or more than one of these 3 things. So we'll be going over that tomorrow. Yeah, we'll just make it. We'll just do it tomorrow. Even if we don't get all the outlining done, we'll skip ahead and do that. So it'll be French knot day tomorrow, plus probably a little bit more backstitch. But we'll go over tomorrow the 3 things you might be doing wrong with your French knots. So if you are having any trouble, be sure to tune in tomorrow. Again, I start at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. But yeah, I can almost bet you real money that you're doing one of or more of these 3 things if you're having trouble with French knots. So we'll go over that tomorrow. Okay. And tonight, like I said, I'm trying to crank through these backstitches, but it's already 9:15. Crazy. I suppose we ironed on the piece and everything today, though, too, so. I am kind of going fast, so if you're not stitching as fast as me, don't worry. I'm, like, on purpose with all of these alphabet embroideries. I am trying to speed through them because I do want to get to the quilting aspect of it this week. So I'm trying to get these to be less than 5-hour long projects, let's say, because I'm here just for about an hour, and I think these ones take me, it varies, but maybe the 4-ish hours, and I'm trying to get that done a little faster so we can get in more quilting. How long have Suncatcher's asking, how long have I been embroidering? Did you teach yourself? So I don't have a super clear memory on embroidery specifically, but I do have a clear memory of cross stitch, which I kind of consider in the same family. I actually consider cross stitch a type of embroidery. That's how it's categorized in my head. But I remember a babysitter came over when I was little and had a cross stitch, and I was like obsessed with it from that point on. Weren't a lot of good choices for kits or anything back then. Sungatcher says it's the gateway. It is. I definitely think cross stitch is the gateway to embroidery for sure, and embroidery is like the gateway to piles of other crafts. I think you just get going with the crafts at that point. But yeah, so I do have a clear memory of that, and I know I did a ton of random cross stitches, and I don't know, got into knitting and crochet and all that, and somewhere embroidery got in there. So I started making these, like my patterns and kits and all that. I started doing that after I graduated college and everything. I was making like stuffed animals and that sort of thing, and I was missing drawing, and then but I still wanted to like do crafting. So drawing and crafting, like embroidery, was like the perfect marriage of those things, and so that's kind of what started Penguin and Fish. I feel like I knew how to do the stitches at that point, so somewhere along the line I had learned those stitches, so it couldn't have been my first time embroidering. It just couldn't have been. But like, I literally have no memory of actually learning to embroider, which seems weird to me, so I don't know what that's all about. Oh, thanks, Renee. I appreciate it. It's just so dumb. Every once in a while, they just come at me. It's, I'm sure super random. They're just flopping around on people's pages. Anywho, we're having a bunch of spam over on YouTube. But yeah, so I guess that's my embroidery origin story, I suppose. But I love doing just like making stuff, period, and like learning how to do different things within, just in general, but especially within the like making, crafting realm. So that's why you'll see me do, like, I've been crocheting lately, and I'm working on that doily, and we learned how to tat a couple months ago, and I quilt pretty often here and stuff too. So you'll end up seeing a variety of stuff. It's pretty heavily in embroidery land this year, which is fine with me. But the last week or last couple weeks of the month, we work on some more random stuff for fun. But yeah, I just like all of it. All of the crafting, give it to me all. Like, I just want a whole giant barn with like all the giant machines for like all the crafting. Like, I want a rug tufting gun. I want like a giant loom. I want like a long arm quilting machine. I want all those like giant, fun, expensive, crafty tools. The little fun, cheap ones like embroidery hoops, all that. I want all that stuff too, but I just want to like play with all the things. All right, I think I have one more stitch in me with this thread, and then we're going to have to get that second one out. Maybe I can push one more out of here. Let's do that. Oh, Haley Farm is saying, every time I try to do a French knot, it just pulls all the way through and doesn't make a knot at all. So my guess is you're doing one or both of these things, and we will go over it tomorrow for real. But the reason it's coming through to the back, I suspect, like, it pulls all the way through to the back. If that's what you're saying, you may be going in the same hole, like you're coming up, making your knot, and then going back in the same hole. That could pull it through to the back, so that's one of the problems that might be happening. If you're saying that you're making your knot and you're going to the fabric, but it's not becoming a knot, like if it looks like just a tiny little stitch, like you've just made a tiny little stitch, you didn't actually make a knot. When you're looping your thread around your needle, you might be facing your needle towards your fabric and not away from your fabric. If you're pointing it towards the fabric, you're going to just end up with no knot. It's going to just be like one little stitch. So that could be also what's happening. I'll go over those for real tomorrow, but I suspect just on your description that it's one or both of those things. All right, I don't have enough thread to go back my third time, so I'm actually going to turn my needle around and use the eye of the needle to go through first, and that will allow me my third pass here. I know, a crafting barn. Oh my god, I want it. Want it. Okay. Here we are. I keep pulling it out a little bit of the hoop, but that's fine. All right, I did have a second half. Here it is. So this is that other 3 strands that we pulled earlier. If I wanted them, it's pretty twisty. If I wanted them to lay flatter, and let's just do that. If I want these to lay flatter, less twisty, I can pull all these threads out in the same way that I did early, just isolating one strand and then pulling that out. Then putting it back together. It's kind of silly, but it does, my threads will lay more flat next to each other than being all twisted on each other. See, so now they're all just like next to each other. So not totally necessary, but in some cases it's nice. Like if you're doing a satin stitch or something, having them a little flatter next to each other is good. Or if you did the whole thing with pulling your stitches like I did the first time, and then you add in one that's all twisted up, you may be able to see, but like, you know. Okay, let's weave in the end. It's hard to know which one I'm doing. There we go. Let's guide it along with my finger a little bit here. Okay, 1. I always do 3 passes. 2, because it's the third one that kind of holds it all in. Like if I would just pull on this and just 2 passes, it would probably pull out. But 3 passes, just getting as many threads as possible, that is unlikely to pull out if I yank on this. Okay. Finish this. I'm thinking we'll have enough to get... what are these called? Stingers? Tentacles? I'm going to call them tentacles for right now. I think we'll have enough blue to get all the way back to the top. Finish the tentacles. But then what are these things called? Oh man, we need to know! More animal anatomy, people. We had this... What did we have this problem with? Oh yeah, the giraffe. So... Every once in a while, working on these, we need some anatomy lessons. So these guys up here on a giraffe are the, what? It was like ossicones, right? The ossicones. So there's your animal anatomy knowledge for the day. But I don't know, what are the, they have the like the little stringy, stingy ones, and then they have like all this little globular guys on the inside of these. So anyone knows the different parts of the jellyfish? Let me know. Ooh, and I suppose this thing's called something too, the little head thingy. Jelly part of it all. We'll have to know, before we're done with this project for the week. So just on that note, I'll be working on this through Friday. I don't think the embroidery part will take that long, but we'll quilt it. We'll put the back fabric, just how we've quilted some of these other ones. We've put in a back fabric on the batting in the front, and we've actually sewn all the pieces together with some decorative quilting. That is the goal. So I'm hoping to do that, finish the embroidery, plus be able to do all that quilting on the J, the I, and then the letter G. I think we still have too. And that's kind of why I'm stitching fast, is to get that. Okay, done with this little stingery dude. And let's hop up to our last one here. Doing on time here? Ooh, 9:25. Okay, we are just I'm gonna go until we have this tentacle done. So we'll have finished the tentacles tonight. I'm calling them tentacles. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, so we'll finish all these little blue dudes tonight. And yeah, I'm thinking about the French knots, like if we should do the head, if we should do his head and face with the back stitches first before doing the French knots, or maybe we just jump into the French knots right away. Oh, Renee says tentacles. Then what are these like inside things called? Or are those tentacles too? Is there a bubble quilting pattern you could use for this blog? Ooh, Linda, that's a great idea. A bubble quilting pattern. There's that one where you can do like circles and then a line that connects them. Or there's like maybe just like, could we do like little circles and then, or just like pebbles? That's what would work. We could do, you know, where a circle goes into another circle that goes into another circle that goes into another circle and all different sizes. Like an all over like pebble. That'd be cute for this. That would fit, and we haven't done that yet. So we could trace around the outside, and then everything else just fill with little bubbly pebbles. I like that idea. That's a good solid core quilting design that people use and stuff too. So we should have that at least somewhere in this quilt, and this would be the perfect one to do that with. You're right. Just thinking some of the bubbles we could even add like a little highlight sort of line in maybe. I'll have to think about that this week. But yeah, that'll be cute. I like that idea. We're getting there. Ooh, so we have a few more minutes to you guys. Any orders, $20 or more tonight in the shop, and I will throw in a free mystery gift with no code necessary. I'm just going to look at whoever orders during the live here. And it's just during the live, and then, you know, I'll let it be for a few minutes after and stuff too if you have something in the cart. Meg's asking, is this going to be part of a larger project? It is. So we are sewing them all. I'm doing a whole alphabet, though, first of all. And so here's the letter F. We're going to then take every letter and quilt it. So we're making these like small little quilted pieces. And then these are going to be sewn together using the quilt as you go method of quilting. To sew basically our mini quilts into a larger quilt. So it's going to be the whole alphabet laid out. So the ultimate goal is a quilt, and we will be auctioning the quilt, and then the money from that auction we'll be donating. The auction's open to anyone, and then we'll be donating the money to the Minneapolis Crisis Nursery. So that's the ultimate plan. And it's going to be the whole year. So we're working on one letter a week, but we're only doing it 2 weeks in the month. So we're basically doing 2 letters a month. Last week we did the letter I, and we're going in alphabetical order. So last week we did the letter I, which is right here. And then this week is the J. We have all the patterns already. It's from our ABC pattern collection that we've had like for years and years. We've just never stitched them all live before. So we're doing this whole thing and donating money from the sales and having that auction when the whole quilt is done. But because we're only doing one a week and only twice a week, we're not gonna have this done till like next spring. So this is gonna be like a long-term project. So there's plenty of time to make your own quilt or whatever you want to if you want to join in and stuff. We will be here for sure. I think I figured it. If we did 2 a week, it would be done stitching. I think in February or something. And I don't know. We might not do it over the holidays or something. We'll just have to see, but I'm thinking around February, March, we'll actually be done with the embroidery, but then we have to finish the quilt, the whole quilt as you go method. But because we're quilting it as we go, in smaller sections, that part shouldn't take ages and ages, but we'll see. This is the second time I've done the quilt as you go method, and theoretically I think it goes faster at the end. We'll see. We're still working on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt. We'll do that the 4th week of the month. Work on that a little bit. But that one we're doing quilt as you go too, but I'm not done with that one either. So that's the first one I've done, quilt as you go. This is the second one. Neither of them are done. All right, let's weave in these ends. Okay, 2 and 3. So we got the little tentacle things. Oh, Renee says the arms of an octopus are called tentacles. So these are probably, I don't know, I'm going to have to look it up. Little stingers. That's not what they're called. That's not a scientific name. All right, I'm wondering if this is enough to keep. I'll probably keep this little piece. If I need one more stitch for some reason, we can use this little piece. Keep it in my little cloud of extras. The rest I have all nicely wound, but I've been trying to use from our little cloud first. All right, so not bad for our first evening, I don't think. So all the little stinger tentacle you guys are done. So tomorrow, again, we will be going over the French knot and the 3 things you may be doing wrong. So if you have any trouble with a French knot at all, be sure to come in tomorrow. I'll be here at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. We might do a little backstitching first, just to make sure everyone's here. But then I'll do a little demo on the 3 things you might be doing wrong for the French knots, and then we'll do a pile of French knots here. So, all right, you guys. So thanks again for joining me for this Monday. I appreciate seeing y'all again after a big long weekend. Jenna came through. She's got okay. So, oh my God, I can't even read that from far away. Nematocysts are the jellyfish stingers. Nematocysts. Nematocysts. I'm gonna have to go to Google and hear what that word actually sounds like, because I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Okay, but we're gonna call them nematocysts. So, but is that called one thing, like the little stingy ones versus the globular guys in the middle? We'll have to find out. All right. So thanks again, everyone. I will keep our shops open all the time, but I'll keep the mystery gift thing open for a few minutes after we're done here, just in case you have something in our cart. So again, that's $20 in the shop tonight. Few minutes from now, I'll let it go a little after our live. $20 in the shop, and I will throw in a free mystery gift for you. No code or whatever necessary. You can just plop it in the cart, and I'll just see who ordered during this time period. But awesome. So all right. Nematocysts. Okay, we got our little stingray nematocysts going. All right. Have a lovely evening, everyone. I will see you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Good night.